good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon what time zone you are on the planet. Welcome to NIMBL's Fiori on HANA webinar. We're tremendously excited to be presenting this. Obviously, two very exciting topics, both Fiori as SAP's new user experience that is free as part of your SAP support maintenance, and HANA, which is not free. Today we have two NIMBL solution architects helping us present on the topic. We have Sarah Lottman, the NIMBL SAP User Experience Practice Lead, and another one of our senior user experience developers, Scott Taylor. So we want to go to the next slide. So just a little bit of overview for those of y'all that aren't necessarily familiar with NIMBL. NIMBL, we are an SAP consulting shop based out of the Rocky Mountains. We pride ourselves on being SAP technology geeks, North America's SAP technologists. If we go to the next slide, we have a focus on some key areas which we believe differentiate us from the rest of the folks. And as you can see on our services slide, we have a dedicated SAP user experience practice led by Sarah, who will be on the call. We have a dedicated mobility practice. We specialize, and our genesis really began within the NetWeaver and administration space, so we're basis junkies. And we have a HANA team certified via multiple OS and DB migrations, both Suite on HANA, BW on HANA, Sidecar HANA. From a solution manager perspective, we like to believe that we're one of the North America's leading solution manager experts. And we present alongside the SAP product team at Decode, formerly known as Techedge, as well as Sapphire and other SAP expert conferences. We do full lifecycle implementation, primarily for the mid-market. And one of our new business lines, which is very exciting and based here again in Denver, Colorado, is our SAP Managed Services business, where we support customers 24/7, 365 via a Colorado-based delivery team, helping both Fortune 500 and mid-market via a flex delivery mechanism across 25 distinct SAP skill sets, both functional and technical. And then finally, beyond our strategic advisory, really believing in strong value of partnership with our customers and being that trusted SAP advisor, we have a dedicated security and compliance practice focused not only on SAP security tools around the GRC access controls and native ERP, but also third-party bolt-ons which help complement SAP environments to make sure that they're more secure. So that's kind of the 2-minute dog and pony. I'd like to turn it on over now to both Sarah and to Scott to educate us on HANA on Fiori. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Yosh, and thank you everybody for attending the webinar today. We have a lot of information to cover, so I'm going to get started with a high-level agenda for the call. First off, we're going to give an overview of Fiori on HANA. But before we get into the HANA piece, I want to do just a brief overview on Fiori, what it means in the SAP space, and some of the innovations that SAP has made. Next, we're going to cover the architecture. There's a couple of different options available to you depending on the Fiori application type, so we want to make sure we clear up any confusion there. Next, we're going to cover the HANA KPI Modeler. This is a very cool tool that is integrated into Fiori and only available for HANA customers, released by SAP, so we're going to talk about that. Next, the SAP Web IDE. And for any technology geeks or developers on the line, you're going to absolutely love this. It's SAP's new browser-based development tool for Fiori, and it's really cool. So next we're going to do a demo of the Web IDE. I'd just like to say that here at NIMBL, we use the Web IDE exclusively for all Fiori development. So it's a very neat tool, and we're excited to share our experience with the wider audience. And finally, we are going to leave some time at the end of the webinar for Q&A. So just a heads up for everybody on the call, if you have any questions or comments that you would like addressed, please type them to either me, Sarah Lottman, or Scott Taylor, and we will make sure that we answer them at the end of the webinar. So now we're going to go into the Fiori overview before we get into the HANA specifics when it comes to Fiori. So first of all, just some fast facts. Fiori launched from SAP close to 3 years ago, and SAP has just continued to invest in the technology. So when it first was released, it was released just for ECC-centric applications, and it was sort of a small application set. Once the adoption for that really grew in the marketplace, the investment that SAP made has just grown tremendously. We're now over 300 plus pre-built applications from SAP, and now instead of just being segregated to ECC, they run on your entire SAP landscape. So in addition to the pre-built applications, it's really interesting because you're starting to see other SAP technologies that run on the Fiori and UI5 platform. Solution Manager is one example, BPC, really across the whole board. So I think it's safe to say that Fiori is truly SAP's user experience of the future. Fiori does allow you to run everywhere. I want to say that it seems like a common misconception that Fiori is a mobile-only solution. That's absolutely not true. It's designed and built to run on desktop, tablet, and mobile. So it's going to give your end users a seamless experience no matter what device they're running it on. Next, and this is somewhat interesting as I talk to our customers, and a lot of them are unaware of this, but Fiori is built on an open development platform. So what does that mean? That means as an SAP customer, you are absolutely not limited to the applications which are provided out of the box from SAP. What it means is you can build brand new custom applications to suit your specific business needs, and that experience for the end user using that application is going to be the same whether it's custom built or it's SAP Delivered. So very cool stuff. Next, I want to give just a high-level overview of sort of the deployment waves that SAP has released for the pre-built apps. So like I said, it's been released for a couple years now. It came out with 25 Fiori applications, and for the most part, they were HR related, right? So ESS, MSS, my timesheet, my leave request, and they were built to be run on any database. The interesting thing about it is when they were released, they came at a licensed cost to SAP customers. So it wasn't widely adopted in the marketplace. But SAP did a great job. They listened to their customers, and this year at Sapphire, they announced that Fiori is now available complimentary to SAP customers. And since that announcement, at NIMBL, we have just seen a huge demand for Fiori. And this is both custom applications as well as the standard SAP Delivered Fiori applications. Like I said in the first slide, SAP continues to innovate. It's just crazy how many innovations they've come out with. And now you can kind of see with the subsequent waves of releases that there's a greater emphasis on the HANA capabilities with Fiori. I mean, you can see with Wave 2, 95 fact sheet apps, 172 analytical applications. So heavy investments have truly been made with Fiori on HANA. Finally, I want to give an overview of the 3 different application types that SAP releases. The first is transactional, and this is just what it sounds like. So basically, transactional applications map one-to-one with a back-end GUI transaction. So an example I'll give is in creating a sales order, right? VA01. There is a Fiori application to create a sales order, maps one-to-one. So again, we're taking a traditional SAP GUI screen and creating an application for it that is transactional. The next application type is fact sheets. Fact sheets are applications that allow you to dig deeper into the application to find out more information about a certain object. So an example again that I will give, we'll look at a customer bill, right? So I can pull up a customer invoice in Fiori, and that first screen is just going to show me a few key facts about the customer. So I might have the address, I might have how much the bill is, and when it's due. But I can also dig in deeper. I can click and look at the line items that make up that invoice. I can click to look at the shipping address and maybe the delivery address of the order and the status. So never before in the SAP landscape were you able to look at a single screen that's going to provide you a whole bunch of information. Prior to fact sheets, I would have to go to the GUI backend. I'd have to pull up one T code for the invoice, one T code for the delivery address, one T code for the customer information. But what the fact sheets do is it pulls it all together into one easy-to-use application. And the final application is analytical. And analytical applications provide end users with real-time insight into operations about the business. Typically, it is represented in a graphical format. So I'm a sales representative. I'm at a customer site. I have my tablet, and I want to know my last 20 deals with this customer, what they ordered and how much. That's an example of an analytical application that can show me that information. The important thing to realize when we look at these 3 different app types is that transactional applications work on any database, where fact sheets and analytical applications, just due to the sheer volume of data we're bringing in, require HANA as the back-end database. So now I am going to turn it over to our Fiori UX guru, Scott Taylor, and he is going to dive deeper into HANA capabilities with Fiori.
And thank you very much, Sarah, for the kind introduction. So next we're going to look at a deeper dive into HANA. So these 3 application flavors we looked at are part of Smart Business. But when we move forward and dive into HANA innovations for Smart Business Suite, we can see that this has been delivered as of October 2014. So in recent months, the first version of Smart Business has come out. And the best way to understand this Smart Business as it relates to HANA is a highly customized version of the Fiori Launchpad. So in your Fiori Launchpad, you have very, very customized applications. So for finance or for CRM or for sales and distribution, you have those 3 typical app flavors that we saw on the previous slide, transactional, fact sheet, and analytical apps inside this highly customized Launchpad. So areas of focus inside this Launchpad could either be an employee role in an organization, such as a manager or an employee, or an industry vertical, such as cash management or accounts payable or accounts receivable. And the most important takeaway from Smart Business on HANA is that it is just a highly customized extended Fiori Launchpad which contains KPIs and OPIs, we'll get into this later, organized by role. And the best part about this is it is included with your existing SAP license costs. This next section of the presentation, we're going to take a look at a few examples of HANA applications. The one we're looking at right now is in the marketing space. So SAP built and delivered this HANA application via customer engagement intelligence. And so no matter what business you are, it is important to measure and report on the success of your organization. And most specifically in this application, we want to measure our sales and our marketing teams. So the graph that you see on this picture is marketing leads over time. And it is because we're pulling in a lot of data in this analytical app from many sources, the best way to visualize this in one screen very quickly to make appropriate decisions is to view this graphically. We have another HANA example application as a fact sheet. This is one of the previous flavors we covered. As Sarah mentioned on the call, you can see this sales representative application first drills into the sales representative or the supplier information itself in general details, but from your entire business suite can also bring in tiles for your bank accounts, for your purchasing organizations, for your contacts, for your materials. And the best part about this type of fact sheet application, as Sarah mentioned, is if this level of detail is not enough, I can tap on any one of these tiles and I can drill down further into another Fiori transactional app. So that transactional app could be, for example, purchase orders or goods receipt, as well as invoices. So as you can see here, we just have immediate insight gains, and if we just need any more details, we simply drill down into any of the applications that we need to. Our third example is directly from Smart Business. This is in the cash manager space. What we see in the graph here on the left-hand side displays a cash flow forecast as well as the cash flow on hand. And the best part about this analytical application running on HANA is your data is coming in real time. There is no need for data warehousing needs, no need for traditional database features of online analytical processing or online transactional processing. Instead, these are both merged into memory of the column store thanks to the power of HANA, and now we have direct access to this transactional data. So now we want to go look at an architectural overview for our different types of HANA apps. And those HANA apps will cover our fact sheets, analytical apps, and the new Smart Business container. Looking at this architecture image, we see here is a fact sheet. We begin with our user experience at the top, and our web dispatcher is what interacts with the user experience. And the best thing to know about a web dispatcher is it is a free software proxy with every NetWeaver license that SAP customer has. Some of the benefits of this web dispatcher are you can rewrite URLs, you can redirect to different server ports from this dispatcher, and this dispatcher even allows for security implementations as well through SSL. So say we want to live demonstrate Fiori on HANA in this webinar. I could ask each one of, thanks to this web dispatcher, I could ask each one of you on the phone to say, hey, let's go to fiori.benimble.com, and you would, thanks to the web dispatcher, be able to reach our demonstration environment. But a little bit more on this architecture we see here. After the web dispatcher, we connect to our NetWeaver Gateway front-end server, which connects to a trusted RFC to our Business Suite backend server, which could be ECC, could be SRM, could be CRM, and all of that is driven by the power of HANA. The next architectural diagram we'd like to look at is for an analytical Fiori application. And the huge difference here that we want to highlight is the availability now of the XS engine, the HANA XS engine. So you can either use your HANA XS engine on the right-hand side here as your communication between your back-end and your front-end for analytical apps, or you can also use the gateway. What most people are confused about with HANA is that it is actually a database platform where this engine is installed. And this XS engine acts similarly to the gateway. It mobilizes HANA services and allows the ability to run our Fiori applications. And finally, the last landscape we want to take a look at is our Smart Business container. You can see it begins on the left-hand side with our Fiori Launchpad, which, as we said earlier, is just very highly customized by role and by module in SAP. But the most important thing to know about Smart Business is that the HANA KPI modeler is included with this product delivered by SAP. What we're going to focus on today for this webinar is a Smart Business drill down from the Fiori Launchpad. And after this Smart Business drill down, when you need more information than what you see on the Fiori Launchpad KPIs, you just literally tap on your KPI and it will launch either a fact sheet or an analytical or a transactional app giving you more details on what you have just selected. Now we're going to take a look at the HANA KPI modeler. So one of the key benefits to running Fiori on HANA with the Business Suite is obtaining this HANA KPI Smart Business Modeler. And the overall purpose of this modeler is to create KPIs, which are key performance indicators, or OPIs, which are operational performance indicators, as tiles on your Fiori Launchpad. And the benefit to having these insights on your Fiori Launchpad is your users will be able to make very quick business decisions instantly with very minimal interaction with whatever device you're using. Here is an overview of the KPI modeler for Smart Business. We define KPIs and OPIs. We look at the modeler itself, and then we see how important Fiori Analytics is with regard to the KPI modeler. So pretty much what you do when using this modeler is you open a workspace, you define your KPIs, your OPIs as tiles inside the modeler, and then assign your drill down applications as a navigation behavior when you select the tile on your Fiori Launchpad. So here's some more information about the KPI modeler application itself. There are a total of 7 Smart Business Fiori modeling applications, and we've highlighted in this slide only 3 of them. The first one we'd like to look at is the KPI Workspace. And as we previously mentioned, you can create your new KPIs, extend existing KPIs or OPIs in this workspace simply by hitting the plus icon on your Create KPI Fiori application. Some of the benefits of this workspace is you can search your active or new KPIs. You can view the details of your new KPIs, including associations and evaluations. We'll get more to that in a little bit of what those things actually mean. But if you take a look at the screenshot on the right-hand side of this slide, you can see an evaluation, creating an evaluation from the KPI Workspace. So literally, for more of the technical people on the call, an evaluation is almost like a SQL query. Here we have parameters we are setting. We can set a parameter equal to a certain value. We can set multiple parameters and search for a range in between several different values. And this, when HANA evaluates the evaluation we create, it updates the KPI tile or OPI tile, which is on your launchpad, and then shows and displays the new data which you were searching for. For the configuration of the KPI tiles application, we have several different visualizations we can look at, some of which are a comparison, a trend, an actual versus a target, and a multiple comparison. So comparisons, we compare existing KPI or OPI values against a dimension, such as a customer or a supplier or an invoice or something. A trend is something of a line chart which we look at data over time. An actual versus target visualization is a bullet chart in which we look at current KPI data versus targeted or forecasted KPI data in which we would like to analyze. Next thing I would like to do is talk about our very exciting web development environment called SAP Web IDE. This is formerly known as the River RDE, and it is a web-based development tool for creating and extending Fiori applications. Not only that, you can do many other things in this tool. You can edit and view the details of your OData services. You can, this tool is just amazing, and literally anything can be done in this tool. Here we have a few screenshots of this tool, which I will actually demonstrate live later. But the screenshot on the left-hand side shows the actual development environment where we can create projects, we can extend projects, and then those projects live in the cloud on your workspace. The screenshot on the right-hand side shows a developer actually using the tool. They have a particular file open, and in the middle pane you can see the code that they are attempting to modify, whether it be change some functionality or even extend some UI controls in this code. And finally, on this screen we have a preview of the application where you develop, you make your changes, you test in the Web IDE, and then you simply hit the Run button, and now you can, in the same view, run or see a live demonstration of the changes you have just made. So if we think about where SAP is now and where SAP came from, the traditional way to develop in this environment was to use Eclipse. And doing that, we had to install application servers, we had to install UI components, we had to install even in our system landscape the ABAP team provider to make all the connections work. Instead, now using the SAP Web IDE, everything is already done for us thanks to SAP. All we have to do is enter simple configuration, point the SAP Web IDE and the HANA Cloud connector to our on-premises backend system, and it just works seamlessly once all connections and authorizations are properly set up. So now we'll take a look at this Web IDE, and I will share my screen. And here we have the Web IDE running on the HANA Cloud, connected directly to our NIMBL lab environment. So some of the things I would like to cover in this demonstration are creating projects. So if I go to File in New, I can select a project either from a template. I could select a sample project that SAP has built for us to learn from, and I can even extend a project. So first I will highlight a project from a template. Here, the Web IDE, we are not just limited to extending or creating existing Fiori applications. We can even develop from scratch SAP UI5 applications. But the beauty of this tool is SAP has delivered for us templates. As you see these tiles that I click, they have delivered templates for us that we can easily import, start modifying, and then extend to meet our customers' needs. So if I select this starter application here, for example, I hit next, I name it something, and thanks to the HANA Cloud Connector, I am able to access our backend system. Other things we want to show is an extension of a Fiori project. So that template that we went through was creating a new project. We can also extend projects here. You can either look and see what is in your workspace. For example, I have 3. If you're first starting out, you won't have anything here. Or we can even look at our own SAP ABAP repository. So I will look here at our, for example, time approval application. I can create a new extension of this application and rename it anything I want in this area. I hit next and I finish. And you'll see my new application has been added to my local HANA Cloud Workspace. This is very important to understand because we are now no longer developing locally on our PCs. We are instead developing on the HANA Cloud, where we no longer have to worry about backing up code. This code is already taken care of for us. And what we're seeing here is what's called the extensibility pane.
So while Scott is getting this pulled up, I want to talk a little bit about the different options you have when it comes to the Web IDE. What we are demoing now is the cloud version of the Web IDE, which connects to our on-premise systems using the HANA Cloud Connector. You do have another option, however, and that is a local installation. So if you're worried about performance or you don't want to host your particular applications in the cloud, it's entirely possible to install a local version of the Web IDE. However, do be aware that all of the functionality is not available in the local install. So you really get the full suite of features when you develop using the HANA Cloud Cockpit.
So one thing I would like to show here now is a SAP Delivered an SAP Delivered application, a sample application rather. So we looked at two different types earlier, creating a new application as well as extending an existing application from our ABAP repository. This project I have here is an SAP Delivered sample application, and to show the beauty of our preview pane, I'm going to show how easy it is to run this particular application with some data. And while this loads, we can see now that we have an application here. We have customized a bit while we played around with the Web IDE. But the important takeaway here is I'm in a completely browser-based environment. I literally went from development on one tab to now previewing the results on another tab. I haven't had to start any servers. I haven't had to check any dependencies. I haven't had to mess with connection issues. Everything is just seamlessly running properly. And if I want to make any changes to any of these UI elements on the screen, all I can simply do is go back to my development environment. It doesn't matter if I leave this preview pane open or not. I can open up any of these files here. For example, the purchase order view. And let's say I will show, or I will take out our icon that we saw. I simply remove this line of code here, save, run again. Oh, I'm sorry. Preview again. And now we should no longer see any icons. So that shows you just how quickly in this master view I can play around in Web IDE, make small changes, make meaningful, impactful extensions, and preview instantly. So I believe now we are at the part of the presentation where we have collected some questions that have been asked through the chat. We have roughly 15 minutes left. We'd be happy to field those questions and answer any questions that you guys have. Anything that we cannot answer over the phone due to time, we will be happy to respond to you all by email with the answers that you need.
Okay, so like Scott said, we have a lot of questions here. We're going to try to get through as many of them as we possibly can. And for those that we haven't addressed, we will absolutely reach out to you individually to make sure all of your questions are answered. Let's see. Mohammed asks, can all existing Fiori applications deployed on Gateway be modified through the Web IDE? The answer to that is yes. So if you have the Web IDE connected to your backend system, you can pull in all applications, so either SAP Delivered Fiori applications or custom ones that you have built using UI5, and they can absolutely be modified through the Web IDE, and they are then pushed back to the server for consumption by the end users. So good question, Mohammed, and that's a common one that we're asked quite a bit. So Paratosh asks, how is Fiori different than NetWeaver Business Client from a usage perspective? And the answer to that is those are two completely separate technologies. So NWBC is used to consume all kinds of different user interface technologies from SAP. So it can consume, the latest version of NWBC incorporates the Fiori Launchpad, but it also will bring in GUI screens and Web Pro screens, really any of the user interface technologies out there by SAP. In contrast, Fiori is Fiori, right? It's web-based, it can run anywhere, it's mobile ready, and it's meant to show Fiori applications. That said, it is entirely possible to connect external web applications to your Fiori Launchpad. So good question. Let's see. Are applications transportable from a development gateway server to a production gateway server? Chris is asking this. The answer to that is absolutely. So when NIMBL does Fiori installations for our customers, we commonly do a two-tier landscape. So we will set up a development gateway server, and we can connect that to a development and a quality backend server, and then we set up a dedicated production server. So it's entirely possible to do that, and actually it's the methodology that NIMBL recommends. Let's see. Here's a good one. Tony asks, can we have the Web IDE without HANA? And the answer to that really depends. You can have the Web IDE without HANA as the backend database. However, running the Web IDE in the cloud does require the HANA Cloud Cockpit. The good news for us developers is that you are absolutely able to sign up for a free trial account, and you can absolutely get in there and use all the functionality and the features, such as connecting it to one of your on-prem systems and beginning development. Let's see. Another question, and this isn't really specific to Fiori on HANA, but it's one that I want to address because I'm commonly asked this from my customers. Let's see, Clint is asking, what is the different use cases for screen personas and Fiori? And the answer to that is Fiori is very simple to use. So SAP's design pattern when they created Fiori is 113. Fiori is created for one role in your business to accomplish a single task. So we're not going to mix up different tasks in a single Fiori application. And Fiori has a maximum of 3 screens. So it's very simple, it's very intuitive, and it's easy to use. Screen personas, on the flip side, are installed directly in your backend server, and it's used to skin the traditional SAP GUI screens. So you can easily hide fields, add your own branding, and most of the development that's done in screen personas requires no programming. It's a drag and drop type interface. So they're two truly completely different SAP technologies with 2 different user groups. So personas would usually be targeted to your typical backend experts. They're in SAP all the time. They're very familiar with the functionality and transactions. That would be the use case for personas, where Fiori can truly be targeted to anybody in the organization who needs to be able to access data and information on the go and needs an intuitive, easy-to-use interface. So that is the difference there. Let's see. Can we run, Hong Ling is asking, can we run Fiori with HANA XS functionality and one business suite, so SCM with no NetWeaver gateway on an SCM application server? And the answer to that is absolutely. So when we're looking at the HANA analytical applications in Fiori, those run on the HANA XS engine. where when you look at the other application types, they depend on a NetWeaver gateway server to provide the OData. So Hong Ling, the answer to that is yes, absolutely. And so Gaurav Jain kind of asked a similar question. It's related. He asked, is NetWeaver Gateway involved in Fiori on HANA? And the answer to that depends. So like I said earlier, the HANA analytical applications depend on the XS engine to be able to run and provide the analytical views. So again, it's dependent on what type of application types you are deploying in your environment. Chris Milstead asks, can gateway servers support multiple backend systems such as BW, ECC, ERP, EWM? And the answer to that is absolutely. That's the beautiful part of installing a dedicated backend system just running NetWeaver Gateway. And so you can absolutely connect multiple servers to a single gateway system. Of course, there is considerations when you go that route. We have to look at sizing and load balancing and things of that nature, but the answer to that is absolutely. And in fact, NIMBL has worked with a couple of customers who have chosen to go that route. And let's see. So Dominic has a question about the Web IDE. He's asking, how do we collaborate the Web IDE with a different offshore team? And so what I'm envisioning here is you have multiple developers in different locations working on the same Fiori project. And so the beauty of the Web IDE, which Scott already touched on pretty well, is that there's no code backup. You don't have to worry about all of that. But the Web IDE does come embedded with some collaboration tools. So it uses Git as a code repository. And so multiple developers are absolutely able to work on the same project, one offshore, one on-site. You can do the code, push it through Git. It's a common development platform that most web developers should be familiar with, but Git is the tool that's used embedded inside of the Web IDE.
And I can add additional information there. SAP Web IDE also comes with SAP Jam integration. And Jam integration is, aside from sharing code and making changes on a repository, Jam integration is a way developers can collaborate with each other by asking questions to each other or sharing ideas and solving problems together through a text-based pane inside the Web IDE. So part of your Web IDE interface includes this Jam, when you set up Jam integration, includes this Jam feature where you can chat with your colleagues while you're in your development environment.
Okay. Glenn has a very common and interesting question, so I want to make sure that it's addressed today in the webinar. He asks, what's the recommended approach of SAP Gateway, an embedded hub or a central hub, or it all depends on the client and the landscape? The absolute recommendation from SAP as well as from NIMBL is to do the central hub environment. And let's talk about the reasoning for that. We already had an attendee ask, hey, can I connect multiple backend SAP servers to a gateway server? And remember that the answer to that was yes. With the central hub, you're allowing scalability, right? So I can connect ERP, but if I also decide to install SRM or CRM, I can connect those landscapes as well. If I do the embedded hub, I am just simply installing the gateway server on top of my backend business suite. And the problem with that is it's not scalable. Now it's segregated to the business suite that it's installed in. So yeah, Glenn, the central hub is the absolute recommendation. And in fact, if you start looking at SCN and a lot of the SAP documentation on Gateway and the deployment options, typically because their recommendation is central hub, that's all the documentation that they have. So we only have a few minutes left, and I know there are a ton of questions still floating out there. As promised, Scott or I will personally respond to your questions to make sure that everything gets answered. But for now, I'm going to turn it back over to Yosh to close out the webinar. And I just want to say again, thank you everyone so much for attending.
Yes, thank you all so much for taking the time over the last hour to learn a bit more about HANA and Fiori. NIMBL is very blessed to have such strong expertise with Sarah's leadership and senior engineers such as Scott. So they have volunteered, in quotes, their email address as well as their cell phone numbers on this slide. So if you have a question that wasn't answered or you have a follow-up, please feel free to email either Scott or Sarah. They're more than willing to spend the time to help you understand a little bit more about this functionality. Closing comments, NIMBL has a webinar series every month. This is the last one of the year. And starting in January, we're ramping up on January 22nd around some security-related SAP compliance topics. Really exciting topic, obviously tremendously pertinent. So please stay tuned for those. And so thank you so much again. Wishing everyone a wonderful, safe, and happy holiday season. Take care. Bye-bye.